Hey, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are at in this beautiful planet of ours. This is Marc, the Intuitive Prospector, coming to you live from the Pacific Ocean. I'll kind of drop back so you can kind of get a feel for where I'm at. It's a little windy today, so I'm trying to find a good setup here. Got my microphone with my windsock on it, so hopefully it's not too windy. But I wanted to do a live Metaphysical Mocha Monday from the Pacific Ocean. I think being around water, being around energy, being around nature is very important for our spiritual journey. So it is 8 a.m. Pacific time here in Long Beach, Washington. So I'm in Washington State. I'm down at the southwest tip of Washington State. So if you know Washington State, that's where I'm at. It's where the Columbia River empties into the Pacific Ocean. I used to be stationed down here in the Coast Guard, so we came back to visit, return to our roots, and I thought it'd be fun to do a Metaphysical Mocha Monday live from the Pacific Ocean. So thanks for joining me this morning. I'm here every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern time, sorry. A lot going on. There's a lot of wind, and just was trying to find a good place to be able to set up Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. So thanks for joining me this morning. Hope you're having a great day. Hope you had a fabulous weekend. I'm going to be talking today a few messages for you. I've got a spiritual number for you. I've also got a totem animal for this week to pay attention to. So good morning to everybody that's joining in. I see April and Lisa. See everybody joining in. I'm also going to be talking a little bit about the waves. As you can see behind me, I'll kind of duck down. You can see the waves behind me. Let me move this. And just want to let you know that in the description field, there is a links to my classes. I'm still offering a 10% discount for the first 5 spiritual prospectors that want to take my Spiritual ABCs Level 2 course. That is good until the end of July. So the links are in the description field, and also a link to Metaphysical Mocha Mondays with me here every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific. So coming to you live from the Pacific Ocean here in Long Beach, Washington of Washington State. The Pacific is right behind me. You can see the energy, you can see the waves. Today's topic is you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. So you can't stop change, but you can change your attitude about how things come at you. So we're going to be talking about spirit totem animals. We're going to be talking about today is the 17th. So today is a very spiritual number, and I'll be talking about the vibration and meaning of the 17, which is also known as the 17-8 in numerology. So I study a lot of numerology, and I work with numbers a lot. So if you want to share the live feed out, grab your coffee, grab your tea. I'm here on the beach in Long Beach, Washington, having a cup of tea. So grab your tea, share the page out to folks that you think might like the message for today. And today's topic is you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. So give it a second for everybody just to get on board here. I will be sharing the live after show if my battery holds up, that is. I'll do a live Q&A after show after I get off the platform here on Om Times Magazine. Just head over to the Intuitive Prospector page, and I will be able to directly respond to your questions that you might have for today's topic. Lots of sand. You can see there's sand in my tea here. It's blowing, so hopefully it's not too... Hopefully the sound is not too bad, the quality. I've got a windsock on my microphone, so that's supposed to help with doing these live feeds. So I'm going to be planning on doing more of these from around the world on my travels. But if you want to have a direct Q&A, the Q&A after show is over on my business page, the Intuitive Prospector. Just look for the Intuitive Prospector page. And after I end here, I go over to that page, and you can have a direct Q&A, coffee and tea with me, ask your questions, get a reading, talk about today's topic, which is you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. So I'm here in the Long Beach Peninsula, which is 26 miles, this beach going up and down. This was my first Coast Guard station when I was stationed here at the National Motor Lifeboat School right on the Columbia River. And you can actually drive on this beach. It's actually a lot of fun. So I was sitting here getting ready for today, and I actually found a rock. I'm a rock hound, and it's actually somebody had painted a Seahawk symbol, so it was funny to find this. And I was sitting here getting ready for today's live Facebook. an actual beetle was crawling around right beside me, but he's moved on. I was going to grab him and show you guys, and maybe that's the actual totem spirit animal for this week is the beetle, but actually it's the seagull. So I've been seeing a lot of seagulls, been seeing a lot of bald eagle. So this week's totem animal spirit is going to be the seagull, it's going to be the eagle, and we'll throw in the beetle. So I guess they all kind of rhyme. So I hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for joining me here today. I want to get into the topic about going back to your roots as well. So today's topic is you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. And I've found in my journeys, and this to be true, if you change your attitude towards something, Dr. Wayne Dyer talked about this a lot, when you start to change your attitudes towards things that you can't control, the things you look at start to change, and it's all based on your attitude. So I thought today's topic would be fitting, being that you can't stop the ocean, you can't stop the waves. I mean, you can do your best to try, you can go out and stand in the water, I guess, and try to stop them. But eventually you're going to grow tired, and so it's about changing your attitude, it's about changing your perception, it's about changing your focus. And you know, life never really asks us what we want, right? So we have to respond to life's changes based on our life journey, on our spiritual journey. So you never know where you're going to end up. If you would have asked me 20 years ago when I started my Coast Guard career here in the peninsula as a young 23-year-old coastie, if you would have asked me 20 years later that I'd be coming back to visit, to be doing a Facebook Live, even the technology has changed in 20 years. We didn't have Facebook Live, we didn't have this technology back when I was first starting my Coast Guard career here on the Long Beach Peninsula. But if you'd asked me 20 years later, based on all of the experiences that I've had, that I'd be back here doing a Facebook Live with all of you awesome spiritual prospectors all around the world and working in spirituality. It's not something I saw. And like I said, life never really asks us what we want. It's how we respond, and life is always going to be, you know, the one constant I have found is change in life. So, how do you stop the waves? You don't. What you do is you learn to surf the wave, you learn to adapt, you learn to overcome, you learn to readjust your focus. And that can be with anything in life, and I thought it would be a good message for today. So if you're just joining me for the spiritual live Facebook here on Metaphysical Mocha Mondays, thank you so much for joining me. I've got my beach gear on. I've got my this is called the Black Dog sweatshirts. It's out of Boston. Got a hat on because it's so windy, trying to keep the sand out of my face. And then I've also set up a wind block to help with the wind, so I apologize if it is a little loud. I do have a windsock on the microphone that is supposed to help, something I recently purchased. But as I was sitting here drinking my tea, getting ready for today's message, I found a rock just right in the sand. It's a Seahawk rock. Somebody had painted a Seahawk symbol on it. There was a beetle crawling around. I hope that he comes back. But let me know, go ahead and post your comments here. I'll come back after the video and do my best to answer all of your questions. I will have a live Q&A after show over on the Intuitive Prospector page. If somebody could be so awesome to actually put that in the comment section. I don't have the ability today because I'm on the beach. I usually work from my computer, and I'm able to copy and paste the link to my Intuitive Prospector page in the comment section. But because I'm limited today, just working from my smartphone, I'm not able to do that. So if somebody could be so awesome and actually paste the link to the Intuitive Prospector page into the comment section, that's my page where you can interact with me right after here. It's a direct Q&A with me, readings based on the battery of the phone as well too. But you can, we can talk about today's topic, what's going on in your life, where you're from in the world, and also post them here, and I'll follow up with you after the live session is over. So today, the spirit animal for today, I've been here all weekend since last week. Been seeing a lot of eagles, been seeing a lot of seagulls, and this morning I saw a beetle, and if he comes by, I will pick him up and I will show him. But the beetle, when I think about the beetle from a spiritual animal, from a spiritual message, when I see the beetle, it's about dedication. It's about always moving forward and keeping your oh, and speaking of which, I'm not kidding, guys, he's right here. He just came up. He must have heard me talking about him. Let me see if I can there he is. You guys see him? So I was just talking about him. He must have heard me, and it's all about the beetle. So it's about dedication, it's about moving forward, it's about change, keeping up with changes. Oop, and he blew away. So kind of cool that I'm sitting here talking and he came up right behind the wood just to say hi. So that's your spiritual animal for totem animal for this week is the beetle, the seagull, and the eagle. The seagull is all about changing perception. When you see the seagull or the eagle, it's about changing, taking a different perspective. And it ties in today's message, because today's message is you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. And if you change your perception, if you take a step back and you have that, what I call the 30,000 foot perspective, and you look at something from a different set of eyes, it helps you adjust and not get caught up in the chaos of today's world. And there is a lot of chaos going on and around the world, from society to politics to religion. And so I try not to get caught up in that and just take that higher perspective and try to be at peace. Way that you can do that is get out into nature, get around water. If you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling anxious, I like to come to the ocean to find my bones, as they say. There's an old saying of finding your bones, coming back to your roots. It's important to understand where you're going, but also know where you came from. And this is where I first started 20 years ago. I was down here as a young 23-year-old coastie, starting my Coast Guard career here at the National Marine Lifeboat School, doing a lot of search and rescue, a lot of life saving for the Coast Guard, and came back to my roots, revisited some old stomping grounds, our first house that we lived in as a married couple, old restaurants, a tavern that we used to go to all the time is now a fine dining establishment. So things change, and it's keeping up with those changes and learning to surf the waves of change. There's that saying that says, if you can't keep up with the waves of change, you'll find yourself underneath them. So it's important. It's an important concept to keep in the back of your mind that, you know, the waves of change, whether it's technology, whether it's people, whether it's relationships, whether it's just your life path, is going to constantly be changing. And you can learn to become a pretty good surfer, or you can not to decide to surf and sink. So there's that concept of sink or swim. So been hanging out here on the peninsula for some time, for about 4 days, just kind of going back to my roots. Remember when I came from my first gig at a volunteer fire department, hooked up with my old fire chief, was able to see him. He hasn't changed much. The town hasn't changed much, but things have changed as far as restaurants and locations and housing and stuff like that. But today's message, keeping up with the waves of change, because again, life never asks us what we want. We have to respond to life's constant changes that's going to happen. Whether it's like the blowing sand, which there's a lot of sand blowing right now. I'm on the beach here. It's Monday morning, a little bit after 8, and just kind of going with what I can do, and keeping up with nature. We had a beetle stop by and say hi. So if you see the beetle, that's also about just keep moving forward. Keep your head down, stay focused on your goals, be like the beetle, and keep plugging forward. If you see the seagull, excuse me, the seagull is all about again, changing your perspective, changing your attitude, how you look at something, how you take on things. How do you take things head on, which is fine, but picking your battles and choosing what, protecting your peace, as I always like to talk about. It's important to protect your peace. So you see the seagull, that's a reminder just to change your perception, change your attitude towards something, see if you can adjust and tackle it a different way. If you see the eagle, it's about rising above. It's about soaring above all the fray. Like I said, here down on the peninsula, I've been seeing a lot of seagulls, a lot of eagles, and so I thought I'd share that this week with you. So let me blow some of the sand off my tea. I'm drinking out of a to-go cup this morning, but it's awesome. I'm on the beach. So I wanted to talk about numerology as well. Today is the 17th of July, and 17 is a very important spiritual number. So if you were born on this day, happy birthday to you. And I'm going to talk about the vibration and meaning of the 17, because it's also what we call a 17-8. It's a 8 energy, which is about, if you take the 8 and you turn it sideways, it becomes the infinity symbol, and infinity is all about fate, it's all about karma, it's all about your spiritual journey. So if you're seeing the 17 or the 8 this week, what that's going to remind you, and I love numbers because we work with numbers all the time in our life. We come in on a certain date, we check out on a certain date, we have to be at a certain place at a certain time. We woke up at a certain time, we go to bed at a certain time, we always check our watch. We're the only species that measures our life based on time. No other species that I'm aware of does that, just humans. So I work with numbers a lot as a numerologist, and I find that numbers are very insightful. So today is the 17th, It's called a 17-8. The vibration and meaning, it's all about having insight. It's all about responsibility. It's all about self-discipline, strength, compassion, spiritual consciousness. So if you're born on this day, or you keep seeing the number 8 or the number 17, the numbers repeat, that's just a reminder that to be conscious around what's going on in your world, your relationships, your career. It's also a number that's based on a lot of wisdom. It's a desire for peace and love for all humanity. So if you keep seeing these numbers, the 8, and I know this because I'm a life path 8 in numerology, and I see the number 8 or the infinity symbol all the time. But I just wanted to share that with you for this week, to pay attention to the 17-8 vibrational energy, the meaning of it. Again, being insightful, responsible, self-disciplined, strength, very spiritually conscientious. It was kind of cool. Speaking of being spiritual consciousness, or there was a movie done by Mel Gibson last year called Hacksaw Ridge, and it's about a story of a medic who was a conscientious objector to war. Didn't want to carry a gun, didn't want to kill anybody, wanted to help somebody. And the movie was excellent. So if you've seen Hacksaw Ridge, it's very gory. It's a Mel Gibson movie, but it is gory. But it's based on this medic in World War II in the Pacific, and he ended up saving 75 guys without carrying a weapon. Well, come to find out, his son actually works at the Owako Fire Department, where I first started out as a volunteer firefighter that I visited with the fire chief yesterday here on the peninsula, and his son is actually a volunteer firefighter. So it's that 3 degrees of separation, which I found very cool. And he's been going around, got to go to the Academy Awards and the Oscars, and got to represent his dad, who's in spirit. Doss Jr. Is the last name, I believe. But it was kind of cool to have that 3 degrees of separation of connecting to somebody that made a difference. And being a conscientious objector during a time of war, I can only imagine how difficult that was. But again, that's who he was, that's what he believed in. And he wasn't going to try to stop the waves of war, but he learned how to surf those waves and become a medic and not pick up a weapon, and actually was very heroic, saving 75 soldiers, and was recognized. And then they made a movie after him. And then we're down here at a small town in Owako. It's a one-light town. It's not a very big town, and he's serving as a volunteer firefighter. So I thought that was kind of cool, and it just ties into today's topic about not trying to stop the waves of change, but how you can adjust to them, how you change your attitude. And again, being that seagull, being the eagle, having a different perspective, changing your perspective, having a higher angle, having a higher view of what's going on in life, or being the beetle and staying focused, keeping your head down and moving forward. So thought I'd just share that story with you. It was kind of fun here, and that's what it's all about. It's about soul adventures and having these experiences. But if you're just joining, this is Metaphysical Mocha Mondays with Mark here on Om Times Magazine. Check out the magazine. Check out my radio show every Wisdom Wednesday called Inspired Living Radio with Marc and Kim. We have fantastic guests, amazing topics. You can call in, talk with us. You can post your question on our Facebook page, which is Inspired Living Radio. Check out the Om Times Institute. It's where I do a lot of classes. You can head over there. The links are in the comment section. You can click right on the links, and I've taught about 15 classes to date now. Some are free, some do cost. This month is Spiritual ABCs Level 2, where we talk about spiritual balance and breathing. Next month, I'm going to be having my class on August 24th, and it's going to be Spiritual ABCs Level 3, where we will be talking about consciousness and spiritual connections, connecting to something bigger than ourselves, whether that's the spirit world, the world of nature, yourself and your own thoughts. So you want to check those out. You can click on the link. You can always find more information about me if you want to do a little spiritual prospecting for your own spiritual gold at marklaneheart.com. I would love to work with you in helping you find whatever gold that you're looking for, whether it's mediumship and talking to a loved one in spirit, giving you messages, a psychic reading, what's more focused in on your life, love, career, what have you. I'm not going to give you the winning lottery numbers, and I'm not going to predict your death. I'm not that type of psychic. But it's more about just spiritual prospecting for your own spiritual gold. Numerology, getting out in nature. I do a lot of hiking and diving, so what I call soul adventures. So do a lot of writing, and I do the Facebook Live. So thanks for joining me today. I hope that you get a little bit of a positive inspiration from the waves behind the Pacific Ocean. That way is Japan, 3,000 miles that way is Japan and Asia. Today we talked about the seagull and the eagle as your totem animal spirits. I wish I could play some music, but I'm just working from my phone today. I'll be back in Seattle next week, and I'll try to get some more fun music. If somebody could post my Intuitive Prospector page in the links, that would be great, because I'm not seeing the live feed right now. I'll go back after and answer your questions if I can, and then I'm going to head over to the Intuitive Prospector page to have a direct Q&A, so you can ask me questions there, where I will respond directly to you. The positive affirmation for this week that I want to give you, if you work with positive affirmations, I think they're important. I work with affirmations every single day of my life, morning, noon, and night, when I wake up, middle of the day, when I go to bed. And this week's positive affirmation to help you get through the week, because it is Monday and you're kind of starting your week, and that's why I do these live feeds on Monday, because it's not a very popular day, is the waves of the sea help me get back to me. So I did post a Facebook Live on our Inspired Living Radio page. It just has not me talking, but it actually has the backdrop of the ocean. So it's breathe in peace, exhale worry. If you want to head over, you can check that out. It's about 10 minutes, a good meditation just of the ocean. You can hang out with me here on the beach and get some meditation in. But the affirmation for this week is, the waves of the sea help me get back to me. And I think that's important to understand your roots, where you're from. If you're from a small town, if you're from a big city, remember where you came from. A lot of us try to get out of the small town, or get out of want to get to the big city, and sometimes we lose ourselves, and sometimes it's important to go back to where you came from so you can understand who you are and where you're going. But also just know that the waves of change will be consistent for your entire life. It's just learning to surf those waves, learning to surf the changes that are going to be coming, because life never asks us what we want, but we have to adjust, and we do that through our attitude and through having a different perspective, a different set of eyes. So again, to this week's number is the 17, because today is the 17th, which is also what we call the 17-8. 1 + 7 = 8. 8 is an energy that is of 17 is a highly spiritual number. It's been expressed as the 8-pointed star of Venus. So if you're familiar with that, it is also the star of love and peace, and it promises, especially if you're born on the 17th today, again, happy birthday if you're born on the 17th, a 17 person or an 8, again, if you're an 8 energy like myself, you will rise superior in spirit to the trials and difficulties of an earlier life. And boy, don't I know that. Some of the trials and tribulations and tragedies that I've gone through in my spiritual and physical life, to be here today to even talk about this as a life path 8. A lot of the 17 energy, a lot of the 8 energy also comes with very high energetic psychic and clairvoyant abilities. Clairvoyant is the ability to see in your mind's eye, a sense of knowing something, seeing something, feeling something, having that psychic energy. So pay attention if you're seeing the 17 or the 8 this week, because that is the universe's way of talking to you. And just remember that the 8 is also the number of karma and fate, and needs to be worked with as such. So again, 8 is all about journey in, journey out, journey in, journey out, karma, fate. If you believe in fate, great. If you don't, great. It's all based on your perspective. Again, the waves of the sea help me get back to me. That's your positive affirmation for this week. And if you see the seagull, the eagle, or the beetle, that's telling you to keep your head down, stay focused, and change your perspective, because your attitude is towards any situation at hand is very important. And when you start to change the way you look at things, the things you look at start to change. That's by Dr. Wayne Dyer. Just seeing if my beetle friend was still around. I don't see him. I was going to pick him up one last time. But I'm going to head over to the Intuitive Prospector page. I hope somebody was kind enough to actually put that link in the comment section, since I'm got a lot of moving parts right now. And I will see you next Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, here for Metaphysical Mocha Mondays with Mark. Like I said, check out the links of Om Times Institute. A lot of great classes, not just myself. There's a lot of great people over there teaching metaphysics, spirituality, conscious thought, astrology, tarot. I mean, there's a whole category, a whole library of just information, almost like the Akashic records of knowledge, I guess. But that's the Om Times Institute. You can get the link here in the description field, and I'll be on the air for Inspired Living Radio this Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. It's our live radio show every Wisdom Wednesday. Hope that you'll join me. And if not, I will see you next Monday back in the studio of Seattle, Washington, not here on the sandy beach. But again, I'm just going to step out of camera and let you enjoy this view for a second. Have a great week, everybody, and I will see you next week. Be kind, be caring, be compassionate. Namaste.